Hi, this is Coach Nelson, and I'm here with Coach Dennis White and Ara White. Coach Dennis White's national team level coach. Um, Ara White is a national team member, world class athlete, and we're here today to talk about a serious subject on all of our minds, the Not in My Sport movement. As you know, there have been a number of unacceptable behaviors that have been exhibited over the years. And I think not only in our sport, but across our culture, I think people have had enough. And we've made a determination that those behaviors are no longer welcome in our sport, hence, not in my sport. And it is an individualized movement. It is going to require each of us to take personal responsibility to make sure that any behaviors we see that are unacceptable, we declare that behavior is not allowed in my sport. And so we wanted to talk to Coach White, who is Ara's coach. He's a national team coach. He coaches our national team, but he also coaches his daughter. So he wears two hats in this situation. And Coach White, I wanted to get some of your thoughts on the behaviors that we've seen. And we've had the pleasure of traveling together to some events. But more than just the behaviors, what would you like to see this movement do?
Well,
And I'll give you this so you can.
thank you.
Yes, sir.
Well, first of all, I'm very happy that this movement has begun and it has the potential to improve the sport, improve the lives of the athletes involved in the sport. So I view it as a very positive thing. I often have recollections of how the Taekwondo environment was 30 years ago when I was a competitor, and very happy to see vast improvements, and that has always been forefront in my mind with having athletes, especially a daughter, involved in the sport. So I view this as a very positive development, and there are still lots of areas to improve upon. I know it's not just one thing. There's many aspects to not in my sport, and I hope we can all work together and make the sport better.
Thank you, Coach White. And I echo your sentiment. So I want to toss it over to you, Ara. As a world class competitor, you've traveled extensively as a junior, now as a senior competitor to a number of events. You may not have witnessed some things, but we've all heard the stories. We've all heard what has happened in some of these circumstances. Tell me what's your comfort level in traveling, and then secondly, what do you want to see come of this not in my sport movement?
So, my comfort level in traveling is pretty good because I travel a lot, and I travel a lot by myself sometimes, and so traveling to all different countries, you see all different people and all different cultures, and the athlete coach culture in other countries is very different compared to like America, and so it's unique to see how other countries handle different allegations and stuff like that. And I think that Not in My Sport has been a great movement so far because just in like the last year, 2 years, there's been a lot of movement to help the athlete. And as an athlete, you always want to be heard, and you don't want to be thinking like that the people at the top of wherever aren't listening to you and they just want your money. You want to be able to tell them this is happening, this isn't right, and you want them to take action. So Not in My Sport is just a platform for athletes to be able to gain trust in their organization.
Thank you. That's a really good point, and thank you for making that point from the athlete perspective. To know that your organization cares and that they hear you. I mean, who wants to continue to cry out about an injustice if we don't think anybody's ever listening? So thank you. So, Coach, I'm going to bring it back to you. How do we make sure that this movement maintains momentum? How do we move this forward? I mean, it's great at this event to have signs and placards, but after this, what happens after we leave Salt Lake City? How do we maintain this momentum?
Well, I think that we're off to a great start. I think the main focus has been, to this point, the sexual allegations, and that is really huge and positive. But I think there are other aspects that that we can improve upon. Bullying, for instance, is a problem in all sports, and not just among adults. So I think progress can be made in that regard, and there are other areas that, not in my sport, can benefit the sport and the athletes, and I hope we just keep moving forward and making it a super positive environment for all of our athletes.
Here, here. Ara, what are your thoughts on ways to build speed, maintain momentum, keep this movement going?
I think like hashtag not in my sport can really gain momentum because once it's on social media platforms, whenever anybody looks up that hashtag, they can find any post related to that hashtag. So just in a random photo or like something that happened that there was like an allegation, you can hashtag like not in my sport and it will automatically gain the momentum just by being a hashtag and making it known to different athletes that if there's a problem with like racism or discrimination or bullying or anything, that not in my sport covers all of that, and so their voice is going to be heard.
Okay, thank you. I think we live in a culture that's social media driven. We can try as we want to disconnect from it, but it's everywhere. So I think one of the things and in hearing both of you, I think one of the things we can do is continue to attach this hashtag to unacceptable behaviors so that whenever you look it up, you see these behaviors that are unacceptable. But then conversely, we want to promote the right behaviors. We want to promote the positive behaviors. So we want to promote how to have positive social media interactions without bullying, how to have proper coach and athlete conduct and contact without violating principles. So I think it's initially we put the first responsibility with our national team members, but I think through this nationals we're reaching out to athletes, parents at all levels of development, because it has to be all of us saying not in my sport, not the 16 athletes on our senior team, because that's not enough. We need every athlete, every coach, every parent singing the same song, and that song has one chorus: not in my sport. So thank you, Coach White. Thank you, Ara. We wish you all the best as you guys get ready for the Pan Am Championships next week and future competitions. We wish you the best. This is Coach Nelson, your Minister of Information, signing off with this: not in my sport.